Hello everyone, today I'm here to share with you some of my favorite hate to love romances. So, I love romance reads. There's no secret about that. There's also no secret about my favorite romantic trope is hate to love. Something about two characters when they meet, they have instant hate eyes for each other, but eventually grow and they realize, hey, I think I love you. I just eat that up every single time. I have yet to be sick with the trope. Hopefully I never will, but with that, there are some of my favorite hate to love romance books out there. So today I'm going to recommend to you, or just talk about my favorite ones, and this list is a little bit short because I really wanted to focus on my favorites of favorites, but rest assured there is no shortage of hate to love books out there. If you look a little bit, you will find some. So let's get into it. The first book I'm going to talk about is probably the most obvious one and the one that you hear mostly on BookTube. When you hear hate to love and just romance reads, you hear about this one predominantly. So we're going to talk about it first to get out of the way because you're going to be like, I've heard about this, I'm sick of it. But it's my favorite romance read and it's my favorite hate to love book, so I have to be honest here. And that is The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. This book blew up on BookTube a few years ago and it's still growing strong. It is my favorite romantic read and it is my favorite hate to love book. I adore it a ton. So in this book we follow a character named Lucy who works at a publishing company. She's an assistant to the CEO, but her company merges with another publishing company, and with that we have another co-CEO and also another assistant to the other CEO, who is Josh. And Lucy and Josh hate each other, hence the Hating Game title, and they just really loathe each other. And they learn that there's going to be a new position for their company and they both want it, and so they have to fight for it. And basically this book is just about Lucy and Josh and their hate relationship turning into, you guessed it, love. Who would have thought it? I'm just kidding. I love this book. It's witty, it's steamy, it's romantic. I couldn't get enough of it. If she wanted to write 5 sequels about these two characters, I would gladly read them. I would read them about them cooking dinner probably. That's how much I enjoy these characters. But it's an amazing book and I love it. I highly recommend it. We'll move on now because I'm sure you're like, I've heard about that book 50 times. There's the 51st. Next up, we have The Unhiding Mooners by Christina Lauren, which is the perfect summer read. So, perfect time to read this right now because summer is quickly approaching. In this book, we follow Olive and Josh, who their siblings are getting married. So Olive has a twin sister and her sister's getting married and she's paired a lot with obviously the best man named Ethan, who she really can't stand. And then what happens at the wedding and the wedding reception, everyone eats like these crab dishes or something like that, and they're not good. Like, they make everybody sick, and the only people that don't eat them, what do you know, are Olive and Ethan. And Olive's sister can't even go on her own honeymoon, so she decides to like make Olive go on the honeymoon and composes her and have Ethan go and pose as his brother. So they have a free trip to Maui, but have to pretend that they are a newlywed couple on their honeymoon even though they loathe each other. As always with these, I'm not going to keep saying it's a hate to love romance because that's the title of this video, but you guessed it. They fall in love. It's adorable. It's set in Maui. It's romantic. It's summery. You're going to want an alcohol beverage to drink while you're reading this if you're of legal age, and it's just a great time. Highly recommend it. Definitely one of my favorite Christina Lauren books for sure. Next up is The Simple Wild by K.A. Tucker, another book that makes a lot of rounds here on BookTube with good reason. This book is set in Alaska, and I also have a thing for Alaska books. Maybe that'll be a whole video in itself soon. Who knows? But in this book we follow a character named Kala who lives in Canada with her mom, and her parents have been divorced ever since she was young. She's never really known her dad because he lives in Alaska and he has his own like pilot charter thing. Company. I don't know what words are apparently. And then she learns that her dad is really not doing so well. So she decides to go to Alaska to visit him to finally, re-strengthen the relationship and get to know her dad. And so she goes there and she learns that her dad is like really in the wilderness of Alaska. Like there's nothing out there. And then she meets one of her dad's co-workers, Jonah, who is around her age and who's a burly and surly and just kind of like grumpy pilot. And of course, hate to love happens. I said I was going to keep saying that, but here I am. Either way, this book is great to read any time of the year, probably more wintry because Alaska is really, cold most of the time. It does have a lot of summer in Alaska though. But I really love this one. Definitely one of my favorite hate to love books, and it has a great family relationship as well. And bonus, if you love this book and you want more of The Simple Wild, there is a sequel called Wild at Heart, which I read this year, and I really enjoyed it. So this one really focuses on Kala and Jonah and their dynamics of hate to love, but also with Kala learning about her dad land, all while set in the beautiful state of Alaska that I would love to visit but never move. I can never make it in Alaska. Next up is You Deserve Each Other by Sarah Hoggle. This is a book that's hate to love and second chance romance, so if I make a second chance romance video, don't be surprised this is in there because it's both of them in my opinion. So in this book we follow a character named Naomi who is engaged to Nicholas, and their relationship started out so strong. They were in love, and then over time she just started loathing Nicholas, honestly, and they're getting married and she wants to be out of the wedding. Like, she doesn't want the wedding to happen at all, but she can't back out because Nicholas's family is like crazy rich and they're paying for the whole wedding, and she knows that if she backs out, she's gonna have to foot the bill, and she can't foot that bill. So this whole book starts off with them finally acknowledging that their relationship is going south and that it's nothing good, and they both kind of went out and they decide to maybe try again for the relationship and try to become friends and go from there. So this book really, at the beginning of this book, you can clearly see it is a not good relationship. They both loathe each other, they dare say hate each other, and they really have to go from there. So this book, like I said, yes, is hate to love, but also is a second chance because they had that flame and amazing relationship once before, and they're trying to get it back. I love this one. I don't hear a ton of people talking about it on BookTube, but I would highly recommend it if you love hate to love and if you love second chance romance. Next up is Well Met by Jen DeLuca. I do own this book. It's being lent out to a friend right now, so that's why you're seeing it on the screen. This book is all about Emily, whose life is kind of not going well, and then she gets a call from her sister that her sister's been in a car accident and she's fine and everything, but her sister needs some help because she is a single mom raising her teenage daughter alone. And so Emily decides, hey, I'm gonna go help out my sister in the small town where she lives and just help her get back on her feet and maybe find some purpose for her life. So she goes, and there she helps a lot with her niece who's in high school, and in doing so, she gets roped up into doing this Renaissance fair with her niece that this town does every single year. It's like, it's a big thing. And the person that's in charge of the whole Renaissance fair is one of her niece's teachers named Simon. And Simon is just a moody, grumpy, not happy teacher. And immediately, Emily and Simon do not start off on a good relationship. They start off on a bad foot. And there's the plot from there. Hate to love also, obviously, but set within a Renaissance fair. Oh my goodness. I've never been to a Renaissance fair, but I want to go to one immediately after this because it just described it so beautifully. And also, while Emily and Simon are in character at the Renaissance fair, they flirt and banter, but then when they're not in character, it's like back to hating each other. So Emily's obviously like what's going on here? But overall, I love this one. This is going to be a series. The next book comes out later this year focusing on another character that was in Well Met. So in case you loved Well Met, be on the lookout for a sequel soon. But I love this one. Love the Renaissance Fair. Makes me want to wear a flower crown right now. Next up is Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey Miss Quinson. This one has a lot of romantic tropes in it, honestly. It has the hate to love. It has friends to love, I would say. It has secret relationship. It's got a lot. Hate to love is one of the tropes, hence why it's in this video. So this book we follow a character named Alex, who is the son of the first female president, and he has this kind of feud with the Prince of England, Henry, and they just don't get along. An event goes on and they get in a feud and fight, and things aspire and things go from there, and the publicity eats it up, and their teams decide, hey, you guys need to act like you're friends to help the publicity and help act like, you know, like things are good between England and the US and things like that. So they have to fake kind of a friendship, and then they actually become friends, and then they develop feelings for each other, and then they develop a secret relationship. So a lot of tropes all in one book, but I loved it. This one does have a lot of politics into it, obviously, with being the Prince of England and also being with the son of the president. You know, there's a lot of politics into it. So in case you don't love politics, I would still recommend it, honestly. I don't like politics at all, really, but I really love this book. It's steamy, it's amazing. The romantic relationship's amazing. The friendships in this are amazing. One of my favorite hate to love books, and friends to lovers, and secret relationship. It's got a lot of tropes. Next up is Worst Best Man by Mia Soso. Look, we start off with a character named Lena's wedding, and she's about to get married. Like, it's literally the day of her wedding. And then her fiance's brother, who is the best man, comes in. He's like, yeah, my brother, aka your fiance, is not coming to this wedding. It's called off. Apparently, we got super drunk last night, and I guess the brother convinced him that, you know, he shouldn't get married. And obviously Lena is very heartbroken and really angry at her fiance's brother because he's pretty much the reason why they're not getting married. So this picks up years later where Lena is a wedding planner, which, oh my gosh, that's so horrible to be left at the altar, but then be left at the altar while you're a wedding planner. That's not good. Years later, she's a wedding planner and she gets the opportunity to be like this exclusive planner for this hotel, and she's really excited for it, but she has to be paired with like an advertising partner to help her with her pitch and things like that. And who's sure her partner B is none other than Max, aka her ex-fiance's brother, the one who destroyed her wedding. Obviously, she is not happy about it, if you can't even tell by the cover, and they have to have a relationship, a working relationship, and it goes from there. I really enjoy this book. I don't hear a ton of people talk about it on BookTube, but if you love weddings, a great wedding book. If you love Hate to Love, obviously a great book. I really enjoyed the relationship between these two, and the fact of like, she just tried to get back at him so many times for like ruining her wedding, and it was just a fun read, honestly. And the last book I want to recommend to you today for the Hate to Love romance is Btree by Emily Henry, which is the newly released one on this list, and I loved it. This book is getting very hyped right now on BookTube because it just released and everybody's reading and loving it, including myself. In this book, we follow a character named January who is a writer, and she writes mostly romantic books, and she has always really looked up to her parents' marriage because they've been in love, everything's been great, and then her father passes away suddenly, and then she learns that her father had like a secret life that nobody knew about. He had another house with another woman, and January never knew about it. So she is obviously very distraught, and she actually inherits the beach house, and she goes to live there because she has nowhere else to go because her career is kind of failing. And then she learns that Augustus is her neighbor. Augustus and her went to college together. He is also a writer, and he's a very serious writer, literary fiction, deep, dark stuff. And they don't like each other. They never liked each other in college, but they start talking again when they realize they're neighbors, and they decide, hey, we're both kind of floundering in our career. Let's write a book and trade genres. So Gus will write a, you know, cutesy romantic book. January will write a literary fiction book. And they take each other on outings to kind of, you know, have field trips. She'll take him to like drive-in movies with romance ones, and he'll take her to cult places where they'll interview people. And it's just an amazing book. Gus and January really don't like each other in college at all, and then they discover that they are friends and something more. I loved it. As the title says, it is a beach read for sure, but it's much more deeper than that. This one will make you swoon and cry all at the same time. So yeah, I would recommend it. Those are some of my favorite Hate to Love romances. I love all of them. I know I didn't mention a lot of them. I could probably pull out even more in here that is Hate to Love, honestly. I mean, there's so many more. I could list probably The Right Swipe by Alicia Rise, another great Hate to Love one, but also kind of second chance romance. There's so many tropes you can find within books. There's just so many Hate to Love books, but those are just some of my favorites that I wanted to recommend to you. I would love to hear if you've read any of these books, or if you're going to read any of these books, please let me know. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.